This video is sponsored by Skillshare. Startups. They're all the hype. If there's one type of startup that is exceedingly rare though, it's the startup airline. You might see ads around where you live saying that a new airline is in town. This usually doesn't mean that a new airline is in town. Most people have no idea when the airline they're flying was actually founded, and most of the time they were founded decades ago. This brings us to the modern wave of startup airlines. The airlines hoping to brighten the future of aviation by operating to underserved markets with the best and most affordable service. Except they've never flown a single passenger, and it seems like they never will. The startup airline is so exceedingly rare to begin with that, in most cases, I assume they will never fly. This is the most fun I've ever had researching a video, and let me tell you guys, I couldn't even make half the stuff up that these airlines claim. In this video, I'll be covering the two main markets for internationally known airlines that will probably never launch flights: the US and Ghana. The claims get so outrageous that you'll want to grab some popcorn for this, as these four airlines will go from crazy to crazier to downright craziest. This video is intended as a comedic take on a few, so far, failed airlines. I do not want to get sued, so let me clarify that these airlines are not fake. They are very real. Let's start with Ghana's finest, Goldstar Air. Oh, how I dream of flying Goldstar Air. If only they actually flew somewhere. We need to look no further than their Wikipedia page to learn about the great ambitions of Ghana's new airline. Goldstar Air was founded in 2014. Goldstar Airlines, though it has since removed the lines part. It planned to commence operations just a few months after it was founded, but it had a small problem. The airline had no staff, no planes on order, no existing fleet, no slots, and oh yeah, no permits. I really think they figured out the best possible launch destination though. A city everyone in Ghana is flooding to, and a city with plentiful demand for international premium flights: Baltimore, USA. At the same time, they would also launch flights to London Gatwick, one of the most heavily slot restricted airports in the world. I'll let you guys figure out the problem with that. So they had to postpone their launch by a month, and then indefinitely because they still hadn't received certification. Understandably, Goldstar Air was getting frustrated since they'd been selling tickets without being allowed to fly. Couldn't the Ghanaian Aviation Authority hurry up a little? I'm sure they would, but the problem is that part of the certification involves certifying the aircraft that the airline operates. It's difficult to certify an airline without a plane, unless... Thankfully, within 2 years the airline announced they'd finally ordered 3 aircraft so they could soon be certified. But it's been more than 4 years since then, and there's still been no word on this order, which is such a shame because I couldn't wait to be able to fly non-stop from Columbus, Ohio or Providence, Rhode Island to Accra. In all seriousness, it really is a shame we'll never see their projected fleet of more than 100 modern aircraft flying, especially since they were planning on having the world's most unique and illegal aircraft registrations. 9G John Mahama, for example. 9G being the Ghanaian aircraft registration code, and John Mahama being a former president. Lastly on Goldstar Air, I've just got to mention that they've won quite a few awards, so they're not completely illegitimate. Notably, they were named Most Promising Airline of 2017 by Quality Excellence Awards. Coincidentally, I was named Most Promising Airline CEO under 21 in 2018 by the same company. The airline's CEO, Eric Bannerman, was also named Most Inspiring Personality in Aviation by the Global Stewardship Awards this year, an award that has previously been won by the likes of William, age 17, who wants to be an entrepreneur and start a flying Tesla airline that only serves Monster energy drink and offers Pornhub as in-flight entertainment, or Grace, age 5, who realized that holding Barbies horizontally and making airplane noises makes them a believable airplane toy. Next up, let's fly Goldstar Air over to Baltimore, or more generally, the United States, to look at another fascinating and hilarious airline. family airlines, now known as Avatar Airlines. Founded in 1992, the airline had the genius business model of offering ultra-affordable flights at massive scale with a fleet of 747s. I can think of at least half a dozen hugely successful low-cost carriers with all wide-body fleets. I'm sure you can do the same. Their plan was to fly a complex routing from Las Vegas to Los Angeles to Newark to Miami and back to Las Vegas. That's a really convenient route from Newark to Las Vegas, as you can tell. I'll skip the good old days because, as you can guess, they never took off, and look at where they are today. In 2019, I was relieved to see they'd been revived as Avatar Airlines when they submitted a 400-page document to request certification. They want to buy 747-400s, which are really hard to get a hold of because they're so hot right now. And in a few years, they hope to have investors to help them purchase not one, not two, not three, but 30 747-8s. They plan to fly these on pretty much the same routes they planned back in the 90s. The idea of a 747 between Las Vegas and Los Angeles in 2021 sure is intriguing. Now, how will they make money? After all, their ticket prices are insanely low. Don't worry, Avatar Airlines will operate as a flying billboard and cover the exterior of its aircraft in ads. I hear the market for smartphones is really heating up among birds and insects, so I'm sure Apple will be thrilled to have ads for the iPhone 12 flying around the US at 35,000 feet. If you have a moment, I recommend reading through Avatar Airlines' website, which they use to convince people to invest. I'm not sure who is investing though. For example, they say they benefit from economy of scale, flying one wide body over 4 narrow bodies. Yes, economy of scale, not economies. They also say pilots love the 747 since it doesn't need to divert in the common event of engine failure. It just saves so much hassle flying a 747 since you don't have to divert all the time flying those darn unreliable narrow-body aircraft that all other low-cost airlines have been flying so unsuccessfully for decades. Well, apparently, the 747-8 is the largest commercial aircraft manufactured according to them as well. I could go on, but long story short, this is a serious operation. Someone knows what they're talking about, and to prove it, they offered British Airways a once-in-a-company lifetime opportunity to change aviation history. Basically, they wanted British Airways to give them 26 747-400s, which they were phasing out. Now, the planes would be free, but don't worry, in exchange, British Airways would receive 22% ownership of Avatar Airlines, worth a cool $165 million. What a deal, and what a valuation. Next up is my personal favorite airline, and the most promising of the bunch. Global Ghana Airlines, a wholly owned subsidiary of real and very much in operation Sister City International Airlines. I heard they've just requested to join oneworld. Well, the airline wants to become Chicago's gateway to Africa. The reason this airline is so legitimate is its CEO and his background. He studied at the world-famous Aerospace Institute in Chicago, which exists, and currently works as a vital resource to the Chicago public school system as an aviation consultant. My favorite high school classes of public school were those on aviation management, right between my automobile design and nuclear physics classes. So Global Ghana Airlines was supposed to launch in 2017, then on October 31st of 2018, Halloween, spooky, but of course that didn't happen. The Ghanaian aviation authorities issued a warning against booking travel with the airline, stating they were uncertified. That's no problem, said Global Ghana Airlines. We don't need to be certified in Ghana because we're a US-based airline in Chicago. That sure is interesting. Unfortunately, at the time of making this video, the airline isn't certified in the US either. Weird. The airline really is struggling to establish its legitimacy. In a 2019 interview on Ghanaian radio, the founder and CEO said their first flight took place on September 31st, 2018. Is the calendar different in Ghana, or is it just my calendar that doesn't have a 31st of September? Starting operations so close to winter is dangerous though, since de-icing fluid is so expensive, the CEO went on to add. But the real reason they still hadn't launched flights at that point was obvious. They hired the wrong type of flight attendants. You see, There are two types of people in the world, the ones that entertain and the ones that observe. Oh, sorry, those are the lyrics to Britney Spears' Circus. What I meant to say was, there are two types of flight attendants in the world, high and low altitude flight attendants. Unfortunately, the founder hired low altitude flight attendants, so they weren't able to operate. This brings us to the final gem of Global Ghana Airlines. An interview conducted by Ben at 1 Mile at a Time. The CEO of the airline is apparently very disappointed that people are saying bad things about his company. I really don't mean to be critical and hurt his feelings without some constructive criticism, so perhaps we could all offer some helpful advice for him? Leave your advice in the comments below. Anyway, I look forward to meeting him for the inaugural flight and can't wait to go to the media briefing being held at the Radisson Chicago Midway Airport, which also totally exists. The last airline I'll be discussing in this video is the big mama of fake airlines, and a company that has failed to launch again and again, but conveniently gotten away with tens of millions of dollars of investor money. They were formerly and best known as Baltia, and I'm sure you've heard of them through videos by some of my friends. They were founded in 1989, a hot time for travel to their target region, the Soviet Union. Specifically, Leningrad, Riga, Minsk, Kiev, and Tbilisi. Now, out of all the airlines, Baltia came furthest. In 1991, they actually received permission from the United States Department of Transportation to operate flights from New York. That's quite the accomplishment. The weird thing here is that they really seemed to want to start flying, or at least made a big effort to make it seem that way. They established offices, check-in counters, and more at JFK, and even ordered 2 former Cathay Pacific 747-200s to launch these flights. In a way, Baltia is a lot like me. They get really excited about something, take all the necessary first steps, and then realize, shit, there's so much I didn't figure out before I started this, and now I'm in deep doo-doo. It seems the airline might have been delaying things again and again for more ill-intended reasons though. The following years, it became clear that the whole thing was a joke, as the airline changed its strategy and would now operate from Baltimore to Trenton, Islip, and Albany. Why? Oh, because just like other airlines, Baltia decides which cities to fly to based on their name. Baltimore for the bull, Trenton for the T, Islip for the I, and Albany for the A. Baltia, the wackiest airline you've ever heard of. Come fly with us. They've now changed their name to USGlobal Airways, the CEO has disappeared, and they have no licenses and are also banned from selling stock. So things are looking great for USGlobal Airways in 2021. Let's really hope we get some more airline aid out there so they can finally oil those flaps and spread their rusty wings. I, for one, cannot wait. If you, like me, prefer real airlines, may I suggest subscribing to my channel? Literally every other video on my channel is about airlines that actually exist, so I'm sure you'll love them. Are you still trying to think of a good Christmas present? Well, what's better than giving someone the opportunity to learn real-world skills that they can apply personally but also in their professional life. With Skillshare, you and your loved ones can join a community of millions of passionate learners who choose from thousands of different classes. Topics range from arts and crafts to marketing, and all classes are curated to make you learn as efficiently as possible without interruptions. Skillshare makes a great gift because an annual membership costs less than $10 per month. If you want to make the gift go even further, there's nothing more valuable than helping someone else start on their future. With a course like The Art of the Start by Guy Kawasaki, one of hundreds of courses on freelance work and entrepreneurship. Although 2021 is filled with uncertainty, acquiring new skills is always a step in the right direction. So tap that link at the top of the description, and if you're one of the first 1,000 people to do so, you'll get to try Skillshare Premium for free.